How are you? All of you on YouTube. How are you doing? Doing good? That's good to know. I am excited. Uh, Today I'm going to talk something very briefly, but it's something fun. Something fun. So I'm just going to go now on Instagram at the same time so I can get my Instagram people and you guys at the what? Let me just change it here. This is interesting. I want to talk about something really interesting. So today I had a couple of sessions that were very, very interesting. And I realized, and I was talking to clients, and I said, do you share with me? Oh my gosh, look who's here. What's up, girl? Miss you. So question for you all of you, and I'm sorry that I'm just showing up because this is how I do it now. I just come up and do lives without telling anybody, but it's this is interesting. Do you tell your therapist everything, or do you hold information from your therapist? Question. I want to know. I want to know from you guys, YouTube, Instagram. I want to know it. Do you feel connected enough to your therapist? I knew you were going to say that. That is just so funny. Oh my gosh. So, why is it that you're saying no? You don't tell your therapist everything? Why? You don't trust your therapist? You, hey. So, what is it that you're holding from your therapist? I need to know that. I find it very interesting that today I had a client who said, Renata, I, well, the to aggravate her. She knows me. Yes, I get very because you know what? I can tell. I can tell when people are holding up information, they're not sharing information. And I like, so let me give you a scenario, right? So I have a client that is very dear to me. So he calls me one night and he says, hey, I want to tell you something. I said, what? He says, well, you think I'm all nice and everything. You think this, that, and the other of me, but you don't know certain things about me. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I want to know what I don't know about you. So today we had a session and it was really fun and nice and interesting. And of course, I got aggravated. You know me. And he was sharing certain things that he didn't share with me before. And I said, "How come you were not sharing these things with me? What was the problem? Why you didn't want it to do that?" And he says, "Well, because sometimes I think you're going to give me work to do that I don't want to do." And well, but isn't this the whole point of therapy? Isn't that the whole point is for you to come to therapy and share with with your therapist your issues so we can uh so I can help you guys with your issues? This is the whole point. So if you're coming to therapy, hello my friend. If you're coming to therapy and if you're not sharing your issues with your therapist, what is the like why are you coming to therapy? My goodness. So I need to hear from all of you the reasons, of you not sharing what you're supposed to share. Do you think your therapist is going to get mad at you? Do you think your therapist is going to judge you? Do you think your therapist is going to say something that you don't want to hear? Why is it that you're not telling everything? Also, I understand that sometimes you maybe the trauma is so deep, the trauma is so like inside of you that you don't, that maybe you're not ready in that moment to share certain information with your therapist. I understand that. What I don't understand is why you come to therapy and you don't share everything that you need to share so we can fix it, you know? So I walked at the park and I returned to my house. Emerson. I share now, but before was because I was embarrassed or ashamed. Okay, well, that's very valid. I like that. If you if you are ashamed or embarrassed about things that you've done in the past, I understand you taking some time to digest that and then sharing with your therapist. It's important. Let me just tell you this. If you go to therapy, the first thing you need to do is to know if you click with your therapist. If that therapist is somebody that you think you can trust, if this therapist is somebody who is on the same page as you, if this therapist really cares for you, if that this therapist meets the criteria for you, please, share stuff with your therapist, because it's difficult for the therapist to read your minds, even though sometimes I think I do that. I can read people's minds, but it's hard, like it's hard to be a therapist and not know why are you in therapy. Or if you don't want to share because you're ashamed, then you just say it. I don't want to share this because I'm ashamed, but it will be a time where I'm going to share. So think about that. So I wanted to come up and say all these things. And at the beginning, I didn't know how to share, how to do talk about trauma. Sometimes when therapy is so new, you need to follow how to even no, you need to know how to even talk about it. It's true too. That is exactly right. I think that sometimes when people come to therapy, they don't know what therapy is. They maybe it's their first time, maybe this is, something they're not used to, and of course, it takes time for you to get adjusted, for you just to say, I'm I'm now ready to share. And also, when the trauma is so deep and ingrained in you, it is very difficult for you to share. I understand that. I think it's very valid when, it's everything is very valid. And I think that, again, no judgment zone here. I think it's very valid when you have a trauma that is so deep that you don't want to share, or maybe it's not even a trauma, maybe it's just something you've done that you were ashamed of. Maybe it's something that you think it's going to disappoint, or it's going to get you embarrassed. But um uh but if you come to therapy, it's your time to shine. It's your time just to sit down and open up. Again, if you have a therapist who is empathetic, a therapist who is going to love you no matter what, I think that that's very important. Um, the click. So today I had a phone call also with this person who is not my client. She's just a person who uh, uh, is calling around and shopping around to see if she is going to start therapy or not. And I was telling her, that unfortunately at this point I can't take her, but I encouraged her to talk to a bunch of people so she can kind of see if she clicks with them. That's what's important. Because if you just go anywhere and you don't click with the person, then it is very difficult for you to open up. So that is just something for you to think about. So if you go to therapy, make sure that you are willing to at least give the therapist a chance to get to know you, to see if she or he can help you, or whatever pronoun they use at this point. So make sure that when you sit or when you're doing telehealth, that your heart is open to receive information and to receive change, because therapy is all about change. If you're not ready to change, if you're not ready to move on, then maybe you shouldn't be in therapy in the moment. Maybe this is a time for you just to wait until it's the right time. I happen to believe that there's also time uh, to do therapy, and sometimes it's not time for you to do therapy, which is fine. It's not something that, you know um, therapy is not for everybody at the same time. Sometimes you don't need to be in therapy in that moment because you're not ready, and that's okay. So, and you need to just think about, okay, I'm not ready to open up, I'm not ready to change. It's fine. Be honest with yourself, and maybe one day you will be able to. But I'm very curious about that, how people just um, hold information where they don't want to talk about. But like Priscilla was saying, is, sometimes the person's not ready, and sometimes it's not the right time for them. It's always the right time for the therapist. Also, I find it interesting because sometimes I have clients who are going to say something to me, and I say, well, maybe it's not the time for you to share that. Maybe you're not ready to share that information as of right now. So maybe you need to hold on to that information a little longer, digest, some of that trauma yourself, for you to open up, and for you and your therapist to work things out. So make sure you do that. Make sure that you listen also, that your therapist, when your therapist is telling you something, that your therapist kind of, I'm assuming, knows where to kind of maneuver you through your traumas. So that's my take on that. So today it's pretty quick. I want to stay a couple more minutes. If you have any questions, if you want to say anything, it was just something that I was thinking about. And since I just finished my day, I decided to come up and give some of my thoughts about that, about therapy, and how it's important in my head for you to open up when you are in therapy and take a risk. Take a risk. Sometimes it's, I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know sometimes you just don't click with the person that you're with. And if you don't click, then maybe you should hold some of that information inside and then try it for a little bit. If you don't like that person, then you just look for a different person. Therapy is like shopping around. I tell my clients that all the time. And if you are my client, if you were my client, well, you know that I say that all the time, that you sometimes you click, sometimes you don't, and that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with you. It is the the moment that you're living, and maybe this is the moment that it's not the right moment. I've had clients that started therapy and, you know, never finished therapy because they think it's too much, and sometimes therapy can be too much. And I'll tell you something, if you're doing therapy with me, I'm very intense, and it could be a lot to sit with me for an hour. And when you know me enough, you can always tell me to slow down, and usually I listen a little bit, not a whole lot. But I like pushing people. I like pushing them to a potential that I think they can have, and they can gain in therapy. But sometimes people are not ready for that, and it's okay. I mean, this is the thing, it's fine. If you're not ready 100% to talk about the biggest trauma of your life, it's fine. You don't have to talk about it. Think that you can talk about it in a different time, that you can just visit things in a different way. And your therapist is going to understand, hopefully. Also, I know that there are a lot of therapists out there who don't listen and don't care, unfortunately, which is true. And I'm not afraid of saying that because I hear my clients when they come to my office and they tell me, well, when they used to come to my office, because now I don't have an office, I'm working from home. But when they talk to me, they tell me, that it's difficult sometimes to find a therapist that you can click with, or a therapist that can love you through your traumas. And that's very unfortunate. And but it happens a lot. So that's it, I guess. So if you are in therapy, and you're holding information from your therapist, think about how much that is helpful for you or not, how much that is something that you are taking advantage of this moment. When you're in therapy, make sure that you understand that that moment is yours, and take advantage of it. Take advantage of the moment, and talk to your therapist. So, and take a risk, of opening it up, and allowing this therapist to love you, allowing this therapist to take care of you as much as they can, and how much, just do that if you can. If you cannot, it's fine too. So no judgment here. But anyway, so um, so just doing a quick live on that. And now I'm going to jump into my Portuguese Instagram and talk about the same topic. So if you want to follow me on Instagram in Portuguese, you can do that as well. So I'm going to jump and talk about it over there too. So I think it's important that we talk about that. So I love all of you. Take care. Though, work on not holding up information from your therapist, because if your therapist doesn't know, your therapist cannot help you. So make sure that you work on it in your heart to open up to your therapist, so he or she or them, or they can help you to overcome your issues. So I'll see you later. Quick live here. Take care. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Also follow me on YouTube if you don't. Jump on the Instagram in Portuguese. I'll be there in a minute. So nice talking to all of you, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.